All right, what's going on, everybody? We are live for the Start, Build, Grow Show podcast. We have a very special guest today. We're going to get into that in just a moment. Appreciate you guys joining us. Let's get after it. All right, we are live for episode 191 of the Start, Build, Grow Show. And I've got my main man, Randy Brothers, on the podcast as well with a very special guest, Kyle DeArmond, I believe is how I pronounce the last name. I want you to correct me if I've got it wrong, because we always see Dearman, but I don't know if that's right. So, but I'll kick it over to Randy, and we'll get Kyle introduced here and get this thing rolling.
What is up, everybody? We are excited once again. We have another incredible guest and a great story for you. You know, as you guys know, this show is all about sharing the entrepreneurial journey in the roofing space. So, our guest today has a man, probably one of the fastest growing roofing companies in the entire country right now. He's been hard at it, working hard, taking massive action over the last handful of years to try to position himself for an amazing success that they're seeing. And they do things a little bit unique / old school altogether. So I'm really excited to bring you on and share your story, my friend. Welcome, Kyle, to the show. Did we get the name right?
Yeah, the name's right. It's Kyle DeArmond with the DeArmond.
There we go. All right. Didn't butcher that one too bad. So welcome to the show, my man. How you doing today?
Making it. Enjoying this heat that we have kicking down here in Arkansas right now.
Gotta love it. We're it's been starting to get warm here. I'm in Colorado. I think Connor's in South Carolina, so we're kind of all over the place here. But man, y'all have been just getting. You've had some crazy record storms this year. For those of us, there's a lot of people in Colorado market. Can you just like send some love our way? Like do a hail dance to send it our direction. Like do something. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
we've kind of been how you say that weather has definitely shifted towards our direction. Even the guys out of Oklahoma are begging for some of it.
Yeah, man.
I know.
It
I'm
seems like every year somewhere just gets over and over and over. Like spread that out a little bit, all right? Give us some awesome love.
Yeah, Arkansas has had some crazy weather this year. So, Kyle, tell us a little about yourself, brother, and kind of your background. Give us a little bit of your story, and then we'll hop into some of the questions we got that I think the viewers will really enjoy. Kind of getting some insight on how you've grown so quickly, and what's the stuff you've been implementing that's really taking your business to the next level.
So background be building houses my entire life. In 2007, I got the opportunity to get into the roofing and out of construction and open my eyes up to a whole different field. Spent, I guess, the first 9 years in Iowa working for a tremendous guy. Taught me a lot about the industry. We worked all of Iowa, Wisconsin, Louisiana. Um, Took that knowledge, helped another company grow in Iowa for a couple of years, and then decided that it was time to open my own. And my wife wanted me to stop traveling, so we opened up in Arkansas after the 2018 storm started down here, and then bounced back and forth in Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, just kind of everywhere.
And more recently, your company, CK Contracting Solutions. I know that you kind of kept it generalized, I think originally maybe because of the flexibility of being able to do other trades, but now very much a roofing specialist. So don't know if you want to kind of just share a little bit of insight of the company's evolution and kind of where you are today and what CK Contracting Solutions looked like originally and what's kind of brought you up to present day.
Yeah, I mean, over the years of trying a little bit of everything, doing the construction side, doing siding, doing gutters, I realized that you don't want a foot doctor working on your heart, and therefore you don't want just any handyman working on your roof. It's a passion of mine. I I really enjoy it. My wife kind of hates it because every time I drive and go anywhere, I'm looking at roofs and nothing else. But I focus my attention solely on roofs and nothing else. No gutters, no siding, no nothing, just roofing. And got great guys that work for me. And so we're able to do a lot of standing seam, a lot of stone coated steels, rubber, TPO, the high end shingles, the high end roofs, and so that's what we shoot after.
That's awesome.
What were some of the challenges? I mean, I think that's a subject we can elaborate on a little. I think a lot of contractors, a lot of roofing contractors, myself included, we go into the space, we start a roofing company, and it's pretty natural, right? You want to you need revenue, you want to get the business going, you want to take whatever jobs you can to get things going. And I feel like a lot of companies go through a transition where they start off, we'll just take anything we can get. You need a new birdhouse, let's build it. You need, your driveway repaved, let's do it. Like, I'll do anything, just to kind of we used to call it, anything to make a buck, right? And then we kind of,
Yep.
I think as you grow in maturity and understand the business and understand, the time value of money and the opportunity costs of growing a business, I think we all a lot of us go through that transition of understanding that, what, I'd rather be like really, really good at one thing before I start doing a whole bunch of other things versus being marginally good or mediocre at a whole bunch of things and struggling to be able to get that. Did you kind of go through a similar process, or what was your process as you made that transition?
I guess I would say I'm kind of blessed, right? I mean, I grew up in the industry, like I said, through 2007 all the way through till 17, working with other companies and helping and kind of molding each other into what's the best practice, right? So that helped me a lot because really I'll give credit where credit's due. The first guy that I worked for, I mean, he tried talking us out of doing siding and gutters, and we as a sales team were hounding him about, we need to do it all. We're losing out because Jim and Joe didn't want to do the gutters and siding, and so if we did them all, we could sell more roofs. And it took about 3 years of that to realize that it's great to be able to do it all, but at the same token, it's not the best practice. I mean, you find a field that you're great in and you can dominate it, versus trying to dabble in a little bit of stuff or taking butt chewings over 50 foot of gutters, a downspout put in the wrong spot, they didn't match the piece of siding or whatever for, like I said, $100 to $200. It's not even worth the headache, unless it's a full job or you have the manpower. But then you have one person that's all you're doing is just paying their salary. And it's a nice thing to offer. It really is. But at the same token, what I found was the realistic aspect of it is the money's made in what you're confident in, what you can turn over, build, collect, and move to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. What is it? One of my favorite quotes, I do this in some speaking engagements or when we're working with clients, is I show this, it's Bruce Lee, and it says, "Fear not the man who has done 10,000 different kicks, but fear the man who's done 10,000 kicks one time."
Yeah, for sure.
What were you gonna say, Connor?
No, I was just gonna say, I think the more and more that, Randy, obviously you've been in the industry a lot longer than I have, Kyle, as well. But the more and more that I've been around high level roofing contractors specifically, and even guys that are doing now solar, integrated into their roofing as well, we find that the folks that are able to keep it going and keep high revenue, high profitable businesses moving are primarily just focusing on the roof, right? And they're not worrying about all these other trade items. And I know, Kyle, we've built a really strong relationship over the last few months and known each other for a little bit of time as well. But I think the more and more that I've gotten to get to know you and seen what you've been doing from afar, I think it's very which we're going to get into obviously during this podcast, but it's very admirable and pretty impressive to see what you've done by just focusing on being great at what you're good at, which is doing the roofing side, So, so I have another question to follow up with this. And I think that this all is just kind of tying into everything that we're going to get into during the podcast today, which is the conversation that we've had before. And by the way, shameless plug for the Roofing Academy. Kyle's a part of the Roofing Academy. Appreciate Kyle being a part of that. But not just because he's a part of the Roofing Academy or we bring him onto the podcast. It's also because his growth and I think just giving some context around what you've done so far, before I start, I guess, lining out a bunch of questions for you, is tell everybody what your growth pattern has been since 2017, 2018, and now what you're seeing today. And I know a lot of folks on the podcast or listening will probably be like, man, that's dangerous. But I think it's a testament to you implementing the things that you've, taken in from every which way in the industry, and also the system that you have built on the back end that has been really, really strong, and something that obviously you and I have had the opportunity of working together on, Randy, as well, to continue to kind of curate your entire operation from the very start of the marketing process to the back end of finance and everything in between. And so I'm interested if you could share with us a little bit kind of what that has looked like for the last few years before we hop into some additional questions for you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so in 2018, when I decided to go ahead and open up CK Contractor Solutions in Arkansas, I brought on one buddy of mine. It was a really good salesman, and just me and him, we did, I think it was like 1.2, 1.3 million, and we've consistently done that every year. And whether it was him or I had hired another person, and so I try to keep it as simple as possible, right? And that's another thing that I know we're going to talk about as far as like the overhead and running lean and running simple. But that's the way I kind of try to keep it. But last year we took that step and went ahead and jumped. And so in April of last year, we hired on 3 new salesmen, got those guys trained in, got them ramped up and going, and they bumped out. It was right at 1.5 million coming into August, or 1.2 million coming into August. Hurricane hits. Had some friends down in Louisiana that needed some help. I was already licensed down there, so we jumped in and went and knocked out a couple of roofs. Those couple of roofs turned into 257 more, and in a matter of 2.5 months or 3 months, and then nothing's ever slowed down coming into 22. 22, we end up hiring in 9 more salesmen and bringing on the crews to assist with these hailstorms that are hitting in Arkansas, and it's just a skyrocket uphill. But I'm still running lean compared to a lot of guys. So it's been interesting. It's been want to pull my hair out a little bit, but coming on with TRA has been tremendous because I was always big on keeping my numbers right. My numbers and Connor numbers are way 2 different things. Mine are basic, simple numbers, right? And you start getting to all the intricate side of stuff, and that's really what the last 3 months has been, is me dialing in as a disc jockey, right? Just fine tuning those numbers on the back end to make everything keep going right. I always looked at the quick numbers, so it was always knowing my numbers to what I thought until realizing that there's a whole lot more to dial into.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Know your numbers, right? I mean, obviously it's cliche. Run your business by the numbers. Know your numbers, but what does that really mean, right? When it's like, okay, how many leads did I get? How many sales did I make today? How much money is in the bank? Okay, cool. Those are the numbers I need to know. No, there's like 20 others that are vitally important, timing, profit margin, net profit, gross profit, predictability, different verticals, all the different things, DSO, and there's a lot of different numbers that we really want to help people get to, but I don't get too far in those weeds, but we got a question already. So what's up, Brooke? She's been watching the show for a long time, known you for quite a while. Good to see you. And can you go into more detail about what lean means to you? That's a good one. I think, a lot of companies, we grow and scale, but if we don't have the right duplicatable systems in place, we tend to run into a bunch of issues and we just throw people at problems. And next thing you know, you got a ton of overhead and, people kind of trampling over each other, not a lot of organizational structure. Yeah, you can get the job done, but then all of a sudden at the end of the year, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm top heavy. We're not making any money. Like, what have we got? So in your mind, great question, Brooke, but in your mind, what does that mean to you?
So me running lean last year, so I don't remember the exact number. I think we were like 3.6 or something, 3.4 last year, 3.4 million or something. And it was me, one person in the office, and I had a QC and a runner. Coming into this year, we have now hired COO, CFO, and she's running everything in the backside, keeping up the books and accounting and some office management stuff. Then I have one lady that's answering the phone doing secretarial work, and then my daughter is now coming on to help do the books and stuff, and then I have 2 QCs. So lean being my office staff is not very much. I have lots of crews and lots of salesmen, but not a whole lot of office staff to have to try to manage. So it works for what we have going right now. In 2 weeks, I will be bringing on a production guy that is handling all that. He's kind of QCing it right now because we're only running about 20 roofs a week, which is really simple in my structure to run 20 roofs a week. When we start running, a little bit more, then I'll have to have my time freed up a little bit more and allow them to step into that position.
That's good. So let's continue going down that avenue then. On the way that you run things, I know one of the things I've loved about our relationship and getting to know one another a lot more is you kind of, when the lid or so to be said, the lid that you put on yourself as a limiting beliefs around how many roofs you can put up or what does that look like, you're always like, man, it's only 15 roofs a day or it's only 8 roofs a day. Like you just throw it out there like it's so easy. And I'm not saying that with some of the systems you have in place, it isn't easier for you than some others, but I guess just dive into that a little bit with us. I know that you have crews that travel with you, you've been in the industry for a long time. But just in general, when you talk about how easy it is and what it looks like from 8 roofs versus 15 roofs, or whether you're doing 2 a day or 15 a day, it doesn't really change that much for you. Can you just to speak to that a little bit and why that's such a for you, that's just rolling out the mouth like no big deal. And someone in the comments actually said that, oh, just 257 more, no big deal. Whenever we were talking about that. So, 257 more jobs, that's a lot of, decent amount of jobs, you know what I mean? So, so just speak to that a little bit and kind of what, I guess in your mind, what's going on when you're like, hey, well, I'm just got to do, go from 8 roofs a day to 15 roofs a day. You know what I mean? Just kind of share that with us a little bit.
So it's the structure that I was brought up into, right? It goes back to what Randy said, the old school side. As far as the way that I have mine structured, when the jobs come in, they go into a sold folder. That sold folder goes to ordered. Ordered goes to production. Production goes into collections, right? And so it doesn't matter really from where I'm standing right now because my suppliers are on point. I can literally order 10 jobs today and they will be delivered tomorrow. Even though we have the big hailstorm going on, my suppliers are on point. I literally sent in today and they're delivering them on Thursday. So it works out smoothly having that production or that system in place, that structured in place for producing jobs. And it doesn't take a lot of hands to touch that, right? So they get reviewed from the sales side when the jobs are turned in, making sure that the roof layouts are right with the amount of squares, with the amount of color of shingles, color drip edge, accessories, everything is right on their material takeoffs. Sending that to the supplier then delivers it to the job site, and the crews are lined up at the same point in time where deliveries dropping today are getting roofed tomorrow. What's getting delivered tomorrow gets roofed Wednesday, and so it's a pretty streamlined. And then, realistically speaking, those same folders are already going to the collection guys, the inspectors, because they already know that they roofed 5 today, and they're going to be inspecting those 5s and going to check on the other 5 that they're doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it would just go along that lines as we keep producing more roofs out.
Yeah, and I think the one thing too I was kind of hoping you'd get into a little bit is just more of like, your sales does sales, production does production, which I know is not necessarily the model that a lot of folks use in the industry. So that's another reason why you're able to be so scalable with like, oh, it's just 5 more roofs in a day or whatever, because you kind of have your point man that's working as the production manager, right? All the orders, the deals got to be put together. We've talked about this before, like from a sales perspective, the deal's got to be put together, right? It's not ready. It goes back to the salesperson until the deal's ready. Once the deal's ready, then it goes to production, right? And so I think it's important for the viewers and the folks that are listening that if you're trying to, implement scalability to your business, not to say that the cradle to grave model can't work, but something Kyle has implemented is saying, hey, my sales guys are going to be selling, and I want to get production to be more centralized. And once it's more centralized, then I don't have as many hands in the cookie jar messing around with orders and all that sort of stuff as you were alluding to earlier. You know what I mean? So I think that's great.
Well, and
Brooke,
another thing on
go
that,
ahead.
when you say that, Connor, one of the big things, and it's been a controversy. I love where the industry has gone as far as a communication. Everybody communicates with one another, and it's not me against every other contractor around here. We all work together, and everybody kind of communicates together. But in the industry, in the last couple, I'd say 6 years, 7 years, there's been that major opposite of what I do, right? They want to hire a sales guy to run it from cradle to grave, right, and then pay him a little bit more. But at the same token, the having the person kind of same scenario. They're a salesman is to sell, right? I mean, he may have been a roofer, he may have been whatever, but his job was to hire to sell, and I don't need him do anything else because two points of that I'll bring up is if he's doing anything else, he's not making himself or me any money, and he's wasting his time. So, and same thing with production, right? I mean, I need my roofers out there roofing houses and doing their part, not going around putting door hangers out and try to sell jobs, right? I need them roofing a house, go to the next one, roof a house, go to the next one. And then when that gets finished, I need my quality control guys and my collection guys, which is the same person, when they go inspect the roof, have their hand out, collect a check, and go to the next thing. And so everybody has their part. And when they master that, it becomes a well-oiled machine that the salesman can go, hey, look, the guys are going to show up the roof. There's going to be an inspector come out. If you have a problem, let him know. You can let me know, but let him know. He's going to be the guy to take care of that, not me, right? And so then it shifts the down the road, and it just works better all the way around as far as my company structure is.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, Randy, did you have a question?
Well, I was going to say that there's a key point here, and I think this is a big debate in our industry right now, is how to navigate the retail model versus the insurance model versus the hybrid of both, or how to do things. And I mean, in an ideal situation, which like we're kind of speaking of, is I should be able to go to a homeowner, propose a deal, a service to them, build value, do a sale, and write a contract and expect them to pay me when the job is done, right? That's
Correct.
how business is done. Then roofers and other people came in here and messed everything up by going in and blowing up with the supplementing side of this business, right? And you're in a storm market and you're just writing bids, and the homeowners are they're required to pay you at the end. So you basically just remove yourself from that whole process. Is that correct?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we will. So yes, every one of my guys, they write bids straight up. This is what it costs, and if my numbers are a little bit higher, a little bit under, I really don't care. That's what it costs me to do the roof. So my profit margin stays the same every time. There is those incidents where, like right now, since Xactimate's finally caught up with the pricing in Arkansas, to where we will say, hey, look, so we have to talk to the insurance company to get the number up there, $1,000 off or whatever. Most homeowners understand that. I know a lot of people always struggle with that deductible, and luckily, I'll knock on wood, blessed. We really don't ever have that. I don't care when I was in Iowa, when we were in Wisconsin, when we were in Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana. I don't run across it that often. And if I do have somebody, they're like, hey, well, Joe's going to eat my deductible. I'm like, let him.
Yeah.
Your neighbor's got to have a roof too. See you later. And I'm not trying to be arrogant or cocky about it. It's like, I'm not going to sit and argue and fight about it. If what my salesman or myself didn't explain to you enough that the value's there, then we're not. Every customer's not meant for me.
Yeah, that's good. We had a question from Brooke again. She's asking, I know you answered the question about what lean means to you. She said, how lean are you on software/processes? So I'm not sure if that's a question that you'd be comfortable answering or what that looks like, but I just wanted to make sure I asked that question in case she.
Oh, so in prior to what was it last? I finally bought a CRM in April of last year. So I have a CRM that I'm running, but prior to that, I ran off an Excel spreadsheet. It was a very elaborate Excel spreadsheet, very elaborate Excel spreadsheet. So I didn't have any overhead as far as that went. It made it nice. Everybody carried a printer in their truck, and they ran off their laptop and printed the contracts out. And we rolled right on. Same
I
scenario
remember those
now.
days.
Yeah. But now we're actually paying for a CRM. And the bookkeeping side of stuff is QuickBooks, and so that part would be, I guess, would maybe answer that question.
Yeah, but still fairly lean, right? You just got one built out CRM and QuickBooks and maybe a couple little ancillary things, and that's that, right?
Yeah,
Or
correct.
do you have a lot of different tools? Not necessarily.
No, I mean we have a lot of tools in the toolbox. Nothing we're paying for.
Sure.
Would be the best way to put that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about just from the simple selling standpoint. I know we talked a little bit about like keeping it simple, right? So when you talk about, an SOP, or you talk about how to create a repeatable outcome with your sales process, when we talk about simple selling, tell us what that means to you and what you mean by that.
So it's pretty simple. I mean, the guys go out, they have their roof layout already done when they get the lead given to them. The roof layout's already pretty much given to them. They go out, take 6 pictures around the perimeter of the house. They lean the ladder up, take pictures of the drip edge, the starter, felt, shingle, climb on the roof, do their inspection, take a couple pictures there, and go down and add those accessories into the program. And then they go into the homeowner's house and give them their pitch per se, explain to them their options, and then ask for the sale. I mean, it usually takes about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at the most. That's the very maximum that they would be at a homeowner's house, unless they were eating dinner or shooting the breeze with them. But as far as keeping it simple, I mean, it really only takes, even to hand measure one, takes me or my guys about 10 minutes to measure a house and put it down on paper. And then, like I said, from that point, you go in and talk to the homeowner and sell it. And it is that simple, just to go in and sell it. One of the last companies that I worked with up in Iowa, they didn't think that process was available, and I brought in 3 guys and explained the process to them, and it worked. It's like I said, pretty simple.
Yeah. So, and then I guess just a follow-up question on that, when you talk about, like having all that stuff ready, I know that it's kind of interesting to me because you just like, you're focusing only on the roof, right? Like you go out on the job that would typically be like a multi-trade insurance claim. You're not necessarily messing with lower elevation photos and doing all the things you need to do. I mean, you're just solely focused on the roof in that scenario. Is that correct?
Correct. But while the guys are walking around, and I say it happens, I would say 60% of the time when they're walking around with the homeowner, kind of explaining the process and pointing out different things to the homeowner. Hey, when the adjuster comes, make sure you mention this, the window screen and these dings in the gutter here, or, some holes in the siding that you notice as you're walking around taking your pictures, just to set yourself up as a professional, right? I mean, so you have the pool in the driveway or pool, in the front of the house, walk up, introduce yourself, and then start the process, right? Go around and start just small talk as you're walking around taking pictures and just looking at stuff, but not putting it on the claim. That has nothing to do with me. Just making mention, hey, if they missed that, you might want to go ahead and get them to pay for that pool cover that got torn up by the hail.
Yeah, that's good, man. Randy, you got another question? You want me to?
Well,
transition?
I was just gonna say that I feel like so many of us just like really overcomplicate the sales process in roofing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, And but the key there is having a process. Okay. If anything you take away, and you're looking at trying to figure out how to scale a little bit from the sales perspective, go to a whiteboard, take anybody who's involved in the sales process of your business, and simplify it. Figure out what are the, the 5 to 10 steps that you want every single person to do each time. Mention, say, build value, share the company story, share the, the process, lay out expectations, share the process of what the homeowner is going to go through, and write that out. Right? That's
Yep.
the baseline of creating a process. Write that out, and then create a way to train somebody on each one of those steps. Add in the fact that you're a great company, you got great reviews, and you just good people doing good work trying to take care of their customers, right? Let's not overcomplicate this.
Yep.
Create a process, make sure it's duplicatable and repeatable. That's key. Okay. If you just hire people and throw them out there and hope they figure it out, you're going to have chaos. People are going to be doing different things, sharing different things with the homeowners. But for me as an owner, I want to make sure that, I'm not going to be able to be involved in every sale. And it's to the point where I don't do hardly any sales at all anymore. And I still want my brand and my message and my story of my company to be delivered to each one of those our clients. In order to do that, we had to create a process. We had to create a way to teach and create we do a presentation, right? Create a presentation. Engage is one of our sponsors. We'll give a shout out to Engage here, where they do an amazing job with their presentations. And it's like, it's fully interactive. We got videos behind in the graphics in the background, and clicking on this, that, and the other show people, what your company is all about. If you do anything, create a step-by-step process. Doesn't have to be crazy elaborate. 5, 6, 7 steps. Ours is 7. Build a presentation on like an Engage software, and there you go. You're done. That's all you need to do is rinse and repeat, and focus on hiring people with great character that match your company's values.
Yes.
I'm kind of dumbing it down, but that is literally the recipe for success when building a sales team.
Yeah, and I want to. I mean, what you said is so correct, Randy. And I'll hit on it one more time, which is setting the right expectations with the homeowner. What they're going to, you don't want them to have the wrong expectations when you get there and you finish the job. So setting those is humongous, right? And that is a part of the process. Explaining to them exactly how it's fixing to lay out, what's going to take place, and what to do through each step, right? And I've said this for, I guess, my whole career, right? It doesn't matter whose shirt I've got on. It does go down to the salesman all in a whole. You do have to have those right people in there, and bodies don't ever make it, right? I've always, at all these trade shows we all go to and everything else, and I hear these numbers, companies talking of how some of their salesmen don't make $30,000 or $40,000. It just blows my mind. I mean, like literally blows my mind. I don't see how they're not everybody's not 100,000. That's when one of the main conferences we used to go to, they bring everybody up that was $1 million producers, and I'm like, I thought everybody was. I didn't know there wasn't nothing that wasn't. I'm sorry.
That's good, man. That's good.
Well,
Yeah,
I
and I
think
mean,
with the right process in place,
Yes.
the expectation is $1 million. I remember getting into this business when the average job size was like $8,000.
Oh, that was big.
Right?
That was big.
You're selling a job at $7,000-8,000 and you're going to be $1 million producer. I mean, that's a lot
Yes.
of jobs to be.
Yes.
That's over 120 jobs you have to sell $1 million. Right? So
Yep.
like 1.3 million in like my first 6-7 months in the business, and I was a rock star.
And you only, yeah,
Nowadays,
and you had to do that from being up in the Midwest or over by y'all. I mean, you had to do that in 5-6 months, right?
yeah,
I
oh
mean,
yeah,
5 months,
you get
120
shut
reps.
off.
That was like taking candy from a
Yeah.
baby.
And nowadays, it's like people are like, "Oh, I can't sell $1 million. I'm too busy. I got too much crap going." Like
Yeah.
the average job size is $18,000 now, right?
Yes.
I don't know our market, and it's
It's
like
15,142 in
that's
Arkansas.
still more than double what it used to be, and we're still struggling to be $1 million producer.
Yeah.
yep.
There's something wrong there, right? It's our fault as owners, as the people who are building these companies. We're a lot of owners listening to this show. We have to look at our process, and we have to create an environment that allows for someone to sell at that high of a level above them. The minimum expectation, I believe, should be $1 million.
Yeah,
Right?
correct.
If you're not
Yep.
producing $1 million, you know, why are you even on the team? Right. And it's our job to make those adjustments and to build an environment and a production system and a support system in place that can allow them to do that. Right. And we're constantly making adjustments. I'm constantly making adjustments. We're making changes to our whole process right now. But I believe that that's where this industry has evolved, and we have to evolve with it. We have to change our process. We have to change our mindset. We have to build businesses that can sustain that and support that level of productivity, and stop worrying about, hey, I need more guys. I need more guys. I need more guys. I mean, you don't need 20 people selling $200,000. You need a couple selling 2-3 million, and you can have a much better, you know, reputation and a much better
A lot
success
less
rate in
headache
your
too.
business. Heck yeah.
Yeah. And that was something that when Randy, you talk about the SOP with sales training, just kind of like bring it full circle with me. I mean, I just got back from Arkansas. Funny enough, Kyle actually is a big part of getting me out there in that market. We can talk about that at the very end of the episode, but you know, basically telling me you'd be a fool not to go ahead and set a market here when this storm came out. So we're in Cabot, Arkansas now. I just came out there with the team, and we did the exact same thing. We sat there and lined out step by step what has to be done in order to get that repeatable outcome with a high closing percentage, right? And it's important that we take the time. No one cares about the SOP as much as you, the owner, right? No one's going to care how to make sure that the job is done or the sale is made a certain way more than you. And so that's just the reality. So we have to take ownership of that and make sure that the folks, the troops that are following us are well equipped with all of those technology tools and all the training and all that stuff that goes around, you know, goes along with in the process that goes along with making sure that they can be successful. So
Yeah.
Another question we got here, how much are you selling on the spot for sales reps, I guess specifically, how much are you selling on the spot versus repeated visits in your world, Kyle? How would you say that plays out?
So I would say this hailstorm's a little bit different because we were, you know, early into it, but most of the time I would probably say we're at a 40 to 50% on the spot, or knowing exactly when they leave there if it's a sold deal or not, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's a having a signed contract with the number on it versus a, hey, just as soon as I get the insurance paper back, you know, I mean, half the adjusters still haven't even made it out here yet. And so not signing anybody on an insurance claim if they don't have their paperwork out yet without everybody knowing their numbers, other than a contingency. And contingency really don't matter to me, right? I want a number with a color and a signature.
Yeah, that's good. And I guess just a little bit more on that question. So when you talk about that and you're, you know, going in, like, I think one of your biggest success points for your salespeople is they go in with physical quotes, right? I mean, they're going in and they're not signing a contingency, like you said. I mean, they're signing like, this is what the job costs and this is what I'm selling it for. Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you ready to do business, right? That's how you're doing it, correct? Yeah. So, and then another question, do your salespeople try to be on site for adjuster inspections? I know the answer to this question, but go ahead and do it.
No, and I can honestly say since 2007, I think I've met one adjuster in my life at an appointment, except for a reinspect. Now, if it's a reinspect, we all go out there, whoever it is, to get them to buy the roof because they'd already denied it once. But I have maybe one that I have been to meet. I don't want to waste my time or anybody else's. I'm not going there. I want the guys out selling. I don't want them going to running down the adjusters and trying to meet here to get that and what. I mean, right now in Arkansas, Connor, you can vouch for it. Ray Charles can see this crap, right? I mean, it's I don't have to be there to get them to buy the roof. They're buying the roof. They're destroyed. They're buying metal roofs. They're buying shingle roofs. They're buying TPO roofs. Whatever roof you want to go get on, it is destroyed in Arkansas right now, right? So it's I tell the homeowner, and there's no marginal. My guys will tell the homeowner, hey, it's maybe come back and I'll reinspect it in the fall of the year or next year because there's just not quite enough showing. But either it is damaged or it's not damaged. And if it's damaged, it's like, yeah, Ray Charles can see this crap. When they write you the check, call me. We'll come back out and pick a color or whatever you need done.
Yeah, love it. Randy, did you have another question before we
Nope. I was just going to throw that in, man. You can start the process, brother.
Cool. So yeah, I guess just last thing for me I want to hit on is talk about massive action, right? And we hear that a lot in some different books that we read and whatnot. But Kyle, I think that's a testament to you. I mean, what I know that we kind of left it, I guess, on a cliffhanger for what you're anticipating from a revenue standpoint this year. And I know revenue, we talk about revenue is vanity and profit sanity, right? So not to say that revenue means all, is the end all be all. But you're running a pretty lean business on the infrastructure, and you're also implementing really good process oriented stuff and knowing your numbers now in a big way. So obviously you'll be very net profitable at the end of the year, barring that no catastrophic events happen or nothing crazy were to happen, which I don't foresee that in your future. What revenue do you think you're tracking this year?
I would say we're probably going to be hitting that 20 million. Somewhere between 15 to 20. I was thinking it's going to be a little bit more, but I've kind of let it come down off the initial goal. But we're sitting right at about 15 to 20 million.
Cool. And so with that, going from what 3 million, what was it? What was the number last year?
Yeah, 3.4 or something like that.
3.4. I mean, that's massive growth, right? And I know a lot of folks who talk about that. Like, okay, so you go from 3 to 15, 20 million. Sometimes you get the unicorn year, massive storm, like we've talked about before. And I know that people could say that to be your case, but really it's like the storm happened. You're in two markets. You're in Louisiana. You're in Arkansas. You've gotten all the stuff on the back end lined out. It's just a matter of having all the elements come together at the right time, and here we are. So I guess just on the massive action conversation and knowing you, I know you're the person you're going to learn to absorb it and then implement, right? You're not just like learning it and then letting things blow by you and letting it go in one ear and out the other. When we talk about events and conferences and things that you're learning along the way, and Randy and I are certainly continuing to be students of the industry and learn as much as we can too to implement in our companies. Just speak a little bit to that and share a little bit around your philosophy around the massive action conversation, because I know you basically are the guy that's like, look, nobody else is going to implement this stuff. I'm going to implement it and watch me go, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So share a little bit on that.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll give it all the way back to Rodney Webb, 2010, 2011. Went to his class and he's like, man, I can give this class right here every day and have 50 guys in here every day. And he said, none of them going to be competition, because out of everybody in a room, realistically, 1% takes a portion of what they learn. Nobody ever wants to take and implement this stuff. And since then, growing and learning different things, if it doesn't do any good if you're not going to implement it, right? You have to take it in, and obviously you hear some stuff at a bunch of conferences. Some of the stuff is great, some of it's bad, but you're going to take the best and go in and implement it. And it is a proven fact by the ones that do it why those guys right now are dominating in this industry. They're not just talking about it; they're actually doing it. They're, just like whenever I came on TRA, I mean, it was I wasn't joking, right? I needed it, I wanted it, and from the moment that you sent me anything, we started pushing stuff through, right? I sat and dove through it. I read Randy's book that, I don't know, 2 days, and then started crunching numbers and just steadily diving in, because I'm an old country boy, right? I know how to roof houses, and I know how to get crews, and I know how to get salesmen and train those guys and do that kind of stuff. But my back end lacked, my all those intricate numbers, all that being able to spit out exactly. Seen a guy made a post yesterday, and I could riddle off the numbers, right? What is the cost of labor, right? Now I'm at 23% of my gross is my labor, and I know those numbers now. I didn't know that before. I knew about an average cost, but I didn't know what a percentage number is for my gross on my labor, my material, and knowing those numbers exactly, now I'm able to fine tune things even more by that. But it takes not just listening to, but actually diving in, putting in the time, and now you can riddle stuff up and fine tune stuff.
Yeah.
That's
How
awesome.
has that changed your perspective as an owner of a business? I mean, your ability to make decisions.
Huge. And I'll say one of the biggest things that it did for me, and like I said, I always knew numbers. Like I knew what my gross profit always was. That was my big number. and my what I always kept up with. But it was funny when we talked, me and Connor originally talked. So 2% on 1 million to me wasn't anything. I really didn't care if we hit, 20% or if we hit 24%, right? But I knew I needed to be somewhere around 22. Well, 20 million, 2% is huge to throw out the daggum window.
Yep.
And so that's where, like, with these price increases coming, and I don't do it daily, but I would say about every 4 days, I'm going in just checking and making sure. And then every time the invoices are coming in, we're double backing on everything and just making sure everything's falling in place. And if not, go in and tweak the numbers a little bit,
Yep.
because it's not, like I tell everybody, it's not just single prices that's going up. It's freaking everything. Between the diesel prices, the guys running material, the labor prices, the felt paper, the nails, the paint, the caulk, the whatever, right? It's all going up.
Yep. Everything. Labor. Everything.
So big lesson there for the listeners is yes, it's important to track your gross profit margin, but even more specifically, when we talk about the breakdown of material, labor, and what you're paying a rep, and what you might be having involved as a marketing expense, or your warranty overrides. We talk about all these different things. You got to make sure you know those numbers, because those couple of points that you might be losing track of, your GP might still be good, but it might be going up, up or down one direction or the other from a material or labor standpoint. And I think what Kyle's saying here is extremely important, because if you find that your material is going up, and maybe you've just been able to get your labor a little bit cheaper, well, that's not necessarily telling you the whole story when you only look at the gross profit, because those couple of points could make, hundreds of thousands of dollars at scale, like you just said. And it's really, really powerful to know that information, and to also, as you said, very much applicable to today, keeping track of your material costs, because we meet with clients a lot that will have 10 price increases behind, right? And then they're like, what's going on? I've been building roofs, I've been selling roofs, everything's going great. And then they turn around, they're like, I have no money. And you're like, well, yeah, it's because we're not. You might be tracking some of these other numbers, your average job size, or average, close ratio or whatever, but you're not looking at your GP, you're looking at your material percentage or whatever, so super important to know those numbers, as you said, Kyle. And I love that, man. I love that. It's just super cool to see, like, the evolution of what you self-proclaim as, like, the country boy that just knows how to sling roofs, and being more sophisticated as a business individual. So that's super cool. So
I think it's time. What we do and what our mission is to take, roofing is an amazing opportunity. It's amazing business. And, for those of us, who probably should never be business owners, can find some significant success, right? If I could do it, you could do it, right, Kyle? I'm a good old boy too. And it's like, I don't know about, I probably shouldn't be this, but the reality of it is we must adapt. We must understand and know that we have to shift from just a hustle mindset to a CEO mindset.
Yeah,
we got to understand,
and that's one of my huge
ones. A CEO, like, what other industry in anywhere in the world? Think about that. What other industry in anywhere in the world can you run and build a $10 million plus company and not have a CEO running it?
That's
or
right.
a CEO caliber educated individual running a business? Roofing. There it is. We've got to start embracing that and learn how to become CEOs, fiduciaries, and run our business by the numbers the right way, and not just hustle our way to what we think is success.
Yeah, and I do want to say on that. So one of the mindsets that a lot of guys that I know in the industry get into is they say, man, I'm making $30,000 a week right now. I don't really care if I'm spending $5,000-$6,000 on whatever obsolete. I did it a couple years ago, like making big money and not worried about the little monies, right? Because I was thinking that you're still profiting, right? But when you break it down and you start looking at it, it's like, oh, nope.
Yep.
We got to tighten all this up a whole lot more.
It adds up. Absolutely. And here's the thing. This is just a lesson in business. Okay. Ebbs and flows are going to happen no matter what. Okay. It's not always unicorns or rainbows. You're not always going to have the upward swing. You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. Okay. If you're reckless during the ups, your downs are going to be a lot worse. If you're intentional and strategic during the ups, your downs are going to be a lot better. And eventually you're going to kind of balance that pattern out and be able to ultimately, in my mind, I believe that, as an entrepreneur, like I'm chasing freedom. Okay. I want to build a great business that can sustain and take care of a lot of people, but I want the freedom to do what I want when I want. I want the freedom to choose to go to work each and every day and not feel like I have to go to work or my business isn't going to survive. Right. So I believe that a lot of us have that mentality, but we kind of that gets lost in the mix because we're too busy hustling and reacting instead of playing offense and being proactive.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Connor, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about how I have my company structured as far as the salesman stretched out all over the place.
Yeah, let's make that our last question for the podcast and let you go into that real quick, and then we'll have one more question that we do for every person that comes on and joins us as a guest. So yeah, go ahead and share that detail with us so people can kind of have an understanding as we wrap things up here what that structure does look like.
Okay, so I learned this a long time ago, and I've implemented it very well. And this is my salesmen are their own company per se, right? They're all 1099, and they're all self-driven. And I've been blessed to have those guys onboarded into my company. And so they all understand one aspect is if they want to feed their family and do their thing, it's their own business. So then they're going to do their own thing. And so, realistically speaking, I have guys that are in South Louisiana, Central Louisiana. I have guys that are strategically placed all over the state of Arkansas, and they do their own selling, right? And then I come behind them and roof. I don't have an office per se that salesmen come into. We don't have sales meetings every week. We don't have them every Monday. We don't have these guys. I mean, it's their own business, and that's the way I structured it. And then whatever they sell, I will roof wherever they sell it at. And it's a very interesting concept because there's not very many guys that I know that can run that way.
Yeah.
And so it's opened up the field. Now that's what happened in Arkansas because I had guys all over the state. This hailstorm hits, and now every one of their towns are bombed, and we're just like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So it gives me more of the opportunity to catch more roofs and not being locked down to one area. So per se, and if I was in a little bitty town and I had my office set up there, and I'm banking on this retail and a hailstorm to come through, that if a hailstorm comes through and everybody comes to town and roofs my whole town, then I'm out of work, right? So I have guys all over that we can always catch retail and we can always catch storms.
It's cool, man. Yeah. Well, I know I would have a follow-up question with you, but we're running pretty long on the podcast. Just more so around the way you keep accountability. So maybe if you can briefly answer that, like accountability in the organization, knowing that you run your company that way. If you could answer that real quick.
Yeah, so we do have checks and balances, right? I mean, it's not just a free for all and everybody's out there doing their own thing. So we do have a system and structured as far as the salesman goes, as far as the crews goes, the QCs. We do stay in contact regularly. Like I do stay in contact. I would say with most of them, we talk daily because they have a question and just touching base. And if there's one of them that per se I haven't spoke to in a week, I will reach out to them and touch base. But it goes along the how you say not drinking the Kool-Aid and being involved into what we have as a structure, but it is that. I mean, the guys they do know what I require out of them, and what my representation is, which is I hire those guys, right? I mean, I have straight laced, straight shooters, clean cut. Everybody's great to go, but they all know that they have a certain protocol that they have to follow.
Yeah,
That's good.
Higher character, right? Higher character train skills and
That's
higher
it.
based on values. It's vitally important.
It's good.
Yep.
All right, my man. Well, leave us with one gold nugget, if you would. We always put everybody on the spot that joins us as a guest. So what's your gold nugget for the viewers? And leave us with that as we wrap things up.
My golden nugget for the day. Oh, that's a good one. I would say be prepared to what you're going after, but don't be scared to go after it. Just know that if you pray about things and God answers them, don't get slapped around a whole bunch. Just take it and go with it. But be prepared for it.
It's good, man. It's
Love
good.
it.
Cool. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast, Kyle. Really appreciate you sharing with us your unique model. I think it's extremely interesting. I'll leave it with this from my end. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, brother, and really value our friendship and relationship. I know Randy feels the same way, but you and I have spent a little bit more time together on the road and and late nights before taking me out to the airport and stuff like that when we've been in town. So, and I appreciate you everything you've done for me and in Arkansas and helping my business as well in reciprocation. So I appreciate you, man. You're a real guy and a good dude, and I think the industry needs more folks like you. So I appreciate you a lot. We appreciate you. So
I want to say thank you for everything that y'all are both putting together here. I take it a lot, and it's not taken lightly, right? I appreciate everything that both of y'all are putting together.
Appreciate you, man. It's this sort of story, these sort of things that's why we do what we do, man. We love to see that. We love to help people, help good people succeed and have a huge impact on the industry and impact on others. You're creating jobs. You're doing things the right way, man. So we really appreciate you. We appreciate everybody watching, listen to the show. If you haven't already subscribed, press the little button, look down, press the little subscribe button on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, the Roofing Entrepreneurs group. So get connected with us. This is episode, what, 190 something?
191.
191. We've done this 191
Yep.
times. We've had amazing guests. There's been amazing
Yep.
free content for you. So if you haven't subscribed, press the button, subscribe. Take care. God bless.